Okay.
I'm now down for thank God. Why sitting at the white in the bottom?
So we really had, we spoke about, first of all, Chanukah, look at the Chanukah, everyone. We should all be zocheh to the iris of Chanukah. So we spoke about originally, we spoke about 4 different things that can all connect to Chanukah. I think that the emunah and bitachon is pretty clear on its own, but coming to the effort and the unity, how is it? So if we go back and we just to quickly review what we spoke about regarding effort, we talked about actually last week's parsha, even though it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but we spoke about it. But last week's parsha, we spoke about the dreams of Yosef HaTzadik and how he said them over to his brothers and how their reaction was very resentful. Where we would say that normally, being the fact that they seemingly, it wasn't just a type of, we know that the Shvatim, each and every one of the Shvatim were tzaddikim, and therefore they weren't saying things, they weren't doing these things because of revenge and because of they were envious. They were tzaddikim, so therefore they must have had a deeper meaning to what they were doing. And we went through the difference of the difference of each and every one of the what the Medrash brings down and what the Torah tells us of what it means for a person to be trustworthy. One of the things that we said was the way that a person who is like in the case of Yosef with Potiphar's wife, how that was so trustworthy. It was so trustworthy of him that he kept to himself and he did not acquiesce to her seducing him every day, which we would think that is normally it's a heroism, a heroic thing for spirituality, but not trust. But we learned and we understood that really trust really goes deeper than that. There's a different dimension of trust, which really we understand is the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu entrusts in us our talents and our abilities and our physical, even our bodies, to be able to do what He wants us to do. And therefore, when we're not doing that, then we're abusing that trust. Okay, so we said that Yosef HaTzadik, why was it that the brothers treated this way? They should have gone ahead and said they realize this person, he's not in reality. He's saying things that doesn't make any sense. It seems like he wants to take over. It seems like he wants to be one of the avos, one of the forefathers, which they knew that when a person does that in such a way, it can be dangerous if he does it. If he wants to take the leadership role, which he was definitely, we know and we see the way that he was acting, there was something that was the success that he had and everything that came with it was actually something that was endowed in him by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it wasn't something that just was, he was just saying. They knew that, they understood that, but they realized also that he wasn't putting any effort, his own effort into it. He was just saying that, he has his talents and his abilities, and he was going ahead and because of my dreams that I had, then automatically it's mine, and therefore you should bow down to me. That's the way they were taking it. And that wasn't the way that it should be done. We should realize always that our everything that we have, even our children, even whatever we do, the only thing that we own really is our efforts. Everything else is really Hashem's, our bodies and our children. Everything is all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's our charge and it's our responsibility to do with it what Hashem wants. So, so therefore, by demonstrating at the end that he despised, and he actually said that it's sinning against God for me to sin against with the Yeshivas pt5. He was actually showing that he rectified his original character, and he was not anymore just going and taking what Hashem's talents and just using them and requesting honor as it were. So therefore, we understand from this that Yosef Tzaddik really rectified his error to begin with. And then we talked about the unity. In unity, we said that we brought down the Medrash of Shir Hashirim and the two different Midrashim that connects Pasuk and Shir Hashirim together with Ruvain and there's Chanukah. It didn't seem to be any connection. And then also with Akedas Yitzchak and also with Chanukah. And it seemed to be just like a Medrash that, needs a lot of explaining. And then we answered it by saying that we answered really like a Jew, answered with another question about why is it that the reaction to the Shvatim, the Shvatim's reaction to what Yosef initially did. Yosef, as the viceroy of Egypt, he right away suspected them of being spies, and they said their reaction was that it was because of the fact that we didn't show him pity, and that's why this is happening to us, which doesn't seem to be the right reason. The reason should be because the fact that they sold him, that was their actual hate. And we answered that no, the reason is not that wasn't their actual hate. They understood their actual hate different. Their sin was different because the fact that they understood that when they judged him, they felt that their judgment was totally correct. And they felt that because their judgment was totally correct, there's no pity. There's no pity when it comes to a judgment. So therefore, if you think about it like this, say a person is judged to be killed, and we have an example like that. Let's say somebody goes ahead and if somebody's in his house and he sees a person who's with a weapon that's coming and stealing things from his house. The Torah says we're allowed to kill him. We're allowed to hashkim lahargo. Now, do we have any? Well, if I could actually just subdue him enough, and I'll get a wound, by doing so, do I have to do that? Of course not. He's chayiv misa now. He has to be put to death, and that's it, finished. But when it's our brother, it's a whole different ballgame. Therefore, we'll do anything possible to be able to save my brother. So if we do that and we understand that and we realize that, then it becomes something that what Yosef was actually longing for was a sense of belonging, a sense of unity together with his brothers. And that's why we see what's the opposite of the pity that they were saying that that we connected also the word that the Torah says that the Shvatim's reaction was Asher Ra'inu Tzaras Nafshoi, that we saw his troubled soul, right? When he was begging us. And we said that the connection is that together with Purim and Esther, that she was Noses Chain. She was able to find, she found favor in everybody's eyes. That she had a connection, that same connection, that chain. And therefore they were lacking a chain. What's the opposite of somebody who doesn't have chain, who doesn't, the normal favor that a person would have? is a strange nachri, and we said that's what Yosef HaTzadik, when he first met them, he said that he acted strange upon them as if he never know them altogether. When we usually a person, even a complete stranger, will give us some type of favor because he's, there's something there, and they felt that there was nothing, and therefore because of that they realized that it's because they didn't see their brother in the way of a brother, and even though he was maybe chayav misa, but they still could have done something to responded to that pity, and really reacted to their inner pity, and to be able to go and say, you know what, it's not right, we should do something about it, maybe we should bring back to his father, maybe we should have him decide because we're maybe not so objective. So therefore we come to the fact that what does it have to do with Chanukah? What does effort and unity have to do with Chanukah? So really, Rav Morgenstern, Rav Itchamayim Morgenstern, he says something very interesting. He says, if we really try to, we look at the words that we say before we light the candles. We look at the blessings that we say. We look at the tefillos that we say in Ner Salalo, in Mos Tzur, as well as Al Anisim, and really, to sum it up, our job is to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what we're doing. We're thanking Hashem, which is what a Jew does, because for Yehudim comes the word to thank. But how is it that we can really thank for something that happened close to 2,200 years ago, right? How is it that we can, it's 2000, I think it's 2,186 years ago today that it happened. Like really, how do we connect to that? Something that's so old, so long ago, we're so disconnected. And not only that, we also think about the fact that the Rambam says everybody is excited before Chanukah. Everybody really is looking forward to the Chag of Chanukah in a special way that's unlike, yes, we're looking forward to Shabbos, but it's even more special to Chanukah. And why is that? And also, we tend to have a feeling, at least when I read this in Rav Itchamayer's Sefer, I felt that I have it. Maybe all of you don't, but I definitely feel that I'm looking forward to it. But then, after the first, night, and especially after the eighth night, I feel like, and I hope this won't happen this year, as Hashem, but I feel like I'm disappointed. Like it's not all what I really wanted. It's not, I wanted more. And I feel like there's something missing. And what does that mean? What happened there? Did I do something wrong? Did I not do the mitzvah properly? Like I lit every candle, and I looked at the candles, I gazed at them, and and I have a witness here that can attest to that, right? So what is it that we really want, and how do we attain it? What is it that we really are expecting, and why is it that we are disappointed at the end? So Rav Morgenstern Shlita says that the thankfulness, first of all, isn't only what happened then. It's constantly renewing itself each year, and the light and the power of the Ner Chanukah, and the power of these holy days of Chanukah. And if we do it properly, when we're lighting the candles and we have this proper intention, so we can acquire that spiritual light, but we must invest in it. We must really put our effort into it to do it. We can't just go ahead and say that, we're doing the actions and that's it. We have to really do that. So what is it we have to do? We have to really understand what is that Chanukah, that desire that we have, that excitement that we have before Chanukah, and why we're disappointed. And he says that our neshama is really tired of being far away from Hashem. Our neshama really wants a connection again. He really wants to be totally connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore the neshama knows that the way to be able to do that is to tap into the araganos, the hidden light that is found during Chanukah. And if we don't do it properly, then there's a disappointment, not in us, but in our real us, our neshama. And because it's been craving and thirsty for it. If we actually do it the proper way, then we connect in a way that there's an amazing uplifting that can last the whole year. And the Rizal says, in order to be able to us to understand how, what's our avoda here, we need to understand what is the midah of Chanukah. The Rizal says the midah of Chanukah is hod. What is hod? Hod is simply translated glory, but really it's much more than that. It's hod comes from the word, like we said before, Yehudim. Hod is bringing glory, but what? It's the recognition. It's akar satov, the recognition of the good and the gratefulness of everything that truly comes from Hashem. And if we really recognize that on a very deep level, that we understand that, like Yosef HaTzadik understood that what he has and the success that he has and everything that he has is all for Hashem, and it's his responsibility to do something about it, then therefore what we're going to have is a responsibility and a charge that we feel that we must do. It's not, we can't just go ahead and say that, it's there and therefore I'm going to take advantage of it. No, we have to do something about it. We have to really, more than just doing the action of the mitzvahs, of lighting the candles, saying the words, but we really have to have a lot of kavanah in what we're doing. And the deeper level is to realize not just that everything comes from Hashem, but there really is no mitzios, there's no reality other than Hashem. And that Hashem is Hakol ve'eino mevado. There's nothing else but him. So if understanding that as Hod, that we have to recognize that all the time, then it's not only something that happened 2,186 years ago, but it's also something that is happening right now. Where the war against Hashem and against our connection with Hashem is happening on a daily basis, on a yearly basis. It's always happening. And as we see it, which is there's we can say there's good anti-Semitism and there's bad anti-Semitism, right? The good anti-Semitism is the things that keeps us away from the goyim that we shouldn't assimilate, right? But the bad anti-Semitism is what brings us into their world and lets us think that it's okay to take different to connect to their world in a way that we should change ourselves and change our lives because of it. Yes, we need to be aware in some sort, but not to go ahead and be influenced by the goyim in such a way that we're really distancing ourselves from Hashem, which is what of course, it was in a much more magnified way and a much more blatant and outright the way that the Yavanim were doing it. But now it's happening on a constant basis all the time, through social media and through anything. It permeates through us. So we come to the phrase that the Chazal tell us in Haneros Halalu. It says "Lir'osam bilvad," only to see them, right? Not to use them. So Rav Morgenstern comes to explain that really what this means is what does it mean to see them and not to use them? So he says that when we come to, sometimes we can have every intention to do something in the proper way. And we do our preparations properly, but then in the end, we're really making a mistake. We do something that could be a devastating mistake, and we don't even realize it. So if I prepare and I understand that really everything is from Hashem, and there's no reality without Hashem, then therefore I'm going to say, well, Hashem does everything, and therefore I don't really need to do anything. Everything is done by Hashem. He tells me to do this, and like I grew up learning as a young child. Okay, you light the candles, and that's it. There's no more depth to it. But we really, that's what it means. That's what he takes to understand. It's what it means when Chazal tell us, l'ro'os bavad, only to see them and not to use them, meaning not to make use of the light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us in the way that we don't have to do anything for it. We have to, the R'os is to see it and to realize, to be aware and to see our charge and our responsibility in it. And we have to really see ourselves and see the light to metaphorically, but also actually seeing it and realizing that ourselves, that we are a vessel that Hashem created for His use. And therefore, we have to do everything possible, that we have to use every one of our talents and every one of our kochos to be able to bring His children, His other vessels that He created that aren't, connected to Him as much as we are, and to bring them together with us back and to connect and to actually see what we're obligated to do for Him, because that's our purpose. From our heel to our head, we are created by Hashem, for Hashem, to be able to do everything for Hashem. So therefore we have the effort that we need to put into it. We have to really see ourselves going into Chanukah in a way that it's not just 8 nights of Chanukah, but it's actually the light that we want to be able to take that 8 days of light for the entire year. And also we want to be able to understand why Chanukah is so special, and why is it that we can go ahead and use that effort and bring that unity, and what is so special about Chanukah, and why is it so holy that it is, actually, essentially it's really the longest chag that we have, right? It would include Sukkot, but Sukkot is really 2 different chagim of Shmini Atzeres, so it's really 2 separate chagim, but really it's the longest chag that we have. And why is that? So to understand this, also we have to understand what is Chanukah. We know Chanukah is number one. Chanukah, we know as the laws of Chanukah, says what we should do. One of the things that the Gemara tells us in Gemara and Shabbos, it says that we must, when Chanukah, we have to light. That's the chiyuv. But and that means one house. Each house has to have one menorah. But then it says mahadrin. The Gemara says when it says mahadrin, when we want to glorify the mitzvah, then it says each person in the house should have their own menorah. Right? That's what it says. And then it says mahadrin mehadrin. When it's even more muhadr, then it should be. Rabbi Shammai says that the first night, madlik shmona neros. He should light 8 candles in the first night. So Yeah, that's what the Shammai says, that we actually go down 8 down to 1. Basila, we go according to Basila, which is 1 to 8. So originally, I had understood this thinking to mean that that Hillel, when Basil was saying mostly Baholech, we're constantly adding. We're saying that we're getting up to it. We're going up to it. We're as Rabbi Shammai is saying that really it's already here in the first night. It's already here, and we have to understand that we again I could be wrong, but that's the way I understood it, is that we're seeing that it's here now, and every day we have to realize we're going to lose one. We're coming to the end. We got to realize that we don't take advantage, we're lost. That it's gone. That's the way I understood it. I understand it. But right. But the thing is, I thought that the same thing too. But I said maybe what Shami's thought is that if we light every, and we see that it's all there. But we see that we have to, if we realize that it's getting less and less, then we're going to go out of our way to take advantage of the days more. That's my thoughts. What? Right. Right. Yes. Right. Exactly. Right. So the question is, you can say that's another question, right? It's 7. Why is this 8? Why is this even greater than the Beis Mikdash? We're looking forward to the Beis Mikdash, and here the Beis Mikdash is only 7, and we're 8. What's going on? And also this question of the Gemara, when it says the chiyuv, the obligation, and then it says when you want to do mahadrin, which is the people that want to do, and mahadrin is a plural tense, right? It's we want to do it even better, right? And then it goes down from mahadrin min mahadrin. Instead, it says madlik. It goes back to lashon yachid, which is singular tense. What's going on? Why did it go down? So the Chidush Arim explains, the Ger Rebbe, he says that when it's talking about, I think it's between the Maral, I think it takes it from the Maral, that the Chidush Arim and the Maral are explaining that when it says madli, it's not talking about like the first 2 times. The first 2 times it's talking to us. The Gemara is talking to us. The Gemara is saying that each household should have 1 menorah, and that's a chiyuv. When it comes to mahadrin, every person in the household should have their own menorah. But when it says madlik, by the last time mahadrin, it's not talking about all people. It's talking about one. It's talking about Hashem. Madlik shemen and is that on the last night by Shkia, after Shkia, Kadosh Baruch Hu was madlik his menorah himself. 8 candles, and therefore, what does that mean? What is 8? Why was the Beis Yosef's kasha is there's many answers to Beis Yosef's kasha. Why was it, right? The miracle was really right. So there's many different answers. One of my favorite answers, because the shemen itself is, we take it for granted that it should light. It's because it's nature, but really that in itself is nature is a miracle too. But there's many answers. But the essence is, the miracle had to happen for 8 nights, and in order for it to happen, we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the miracle happen 8 nights. Well, because it takes 8 days to make the pure olive oil. So they found that it was desecrated. They found 1 pach shemen, right? That was the only pach shemen that still had the seal, right? But they wanted their desire was so much to do it now. They could have waited. They could have waited till they got more shemen to be able to have enough. But they said, no, we're doing it now. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu saw that and understood that they really had the good desire. And therefore, he made the miracle. But why did it have to be 8 days? Okay, yes, it takes 8 days to make the shemen zayich, but why? Why 8? why not 6? Why not 10? Why not 20? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. I heard this from our Malach, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world in 7 days, right? 6 days and created Shabbos. He created the concept of rest. So really, that's teva, that's nature. And there's something called above nature. Above nature, me'ala teva is 8. Hashem created, the creation is only 7. So within the creation, there's many different types of people, there's many different types of beings, and that's all within nature. Like if there's a person who is successful, there's a person who's unsuccessful, there's a person who's very who's normal, there's a person who's not normal, there's a person who's rich, there's a person who's poor. To have a person that is poor all of a sudden in one day become rich is not nature. You know, when a person goes and said, well, the reason why this person became rich is because he won the lottery, right? So, and when we have a person that was sick all his life and all of a sudden one day becomes totally healthy, that's not nature. That's not normal. But we say, well, there was a certain doctor that had this certain technique that he massaged him a certain way, and all of a sudden, you know, that in itself, yeah, that may be the thing that Hashem used, but really it's all above nature. This is something that wasn't something that happened from nature, because what it happened, he tapped into the 8, he tapped into the Me'al HaTeva. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing when he lights the 8 candles last night, in the beginning of Hanukkah. He's showing that this time of Hanukkah is a period of Me'al HaTeva, and we can, if we tap into it properly, we can actually come to, coming to Hashem in a way that Me'al HaTeva, as we spoke also last week, we mentioned how our secret weapon is bitachon, right? If we have the true type of bitachon, like the Chashmonaim, who every person would say that you're totally out of your minds to go ahead and even think about having this war, right? But they wanted, and they understood that this is what Hashem wants, and therefore their bitachon was such a strong bitachon of not just that Hashem will help me. We got to do it now, and Hashem is helping me now. It's happening now, and that type of thing was, even I think from this farm say without Hanukkah, if we have that, then if we tap into that real bitachon, then it can go even without Hanukkah. With Hanukkah, it's huge, because Hanukkah itself is Me'al HaTeva if we tap into it. So if we do this properly and understand it, then we will have such sipuk, such satisfaction, which will bring us simcha, bring us joy, and that's the proper way to do all mitzvahs, because as we know that there was a I'm trying to remember who it was. I can't remember who it was. A gadol. Oh, it was. I think it was the Briskerov. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but he came to this certain town, and he saw that it says in the Gemara that if a person lights candles properly in Hanukkah, that his children become Talmidei Chacham, or his daughters will marry Talmidei Chacham. So we have so many people. I mean, Hanukkah is something that is really, really observed by most all Yidden. Even if they're not observant Yidden, they observe Hanukkah. So what happened? What's going on? And then this gadol went, and the way that he saw this simple person, he was visiting a town, and he saw this simple person who was taking, even though he was a gadol, and the way that he perceived what Chanukah really was very, very much higher level than I can perceive. But still, there was a problem that he not a problem. It was something that was so inspired by this simple person, how he was taking Chanukah to a whole new level of simcha, the true simcha that he had, as if he was, every night of Chanukah to him was like marrying off another child, like really such an amazing simcha, and how he was dancing, and he was dancing with his children. And he says, that's why we maybe don't have our children Tamid Chachamim, because of the fact that we're not really doing it the proper way. We're not really doing it the way that we should understand the gift of Chanukah. And therefore that's our whole disappointment, because the neshama knows. We don't understand, but the neshama understands. And therefore we come back, every night of Chanukah after lighting, or after the entire Chanukah, we come back to an emptiness and a void of a disappointment, and that's what it's all about. So if we really tap into it the proper way, as Hashem Yisbarach, we should be zoka to be able to have that inner sense of peace in our neshama and happiness, because we did it properly and we were able to tap into it. And Hashem Yisbarach, we should be zoka to come me'ala teva in every Yeshua that each and every one in Klal Yisrael needs. Any questions or whatever?
I feel like it's often challenging when we use those. Sort of like you want to have a lot of kavanah and things, but sometimes with a lot of kavanah also comes with a lot of seriousness. On the other hand, so you sort of don't know if you should, like, Rabbi Nachman says, just go the simple way, just do everything to simcha.
Right.
So it's a little challenging to sort of find the way, whatever.
No, 100%. I remember one time learning something from Rabbi Nachman, and it didn't. I think it was something to do with this, but he said that every tefillah of ours should be the simcha, and I had a problem with that, because I feel that sometimes when I'm davening, I get real, connected. I understand what hopefully I understand what the words mean, and I get serious. And when I get serious, I think about the things that I need, and I think about what that tefillah means, that how it connects to me, and how am I besimcha, right? And right, exactly. So, and it actually says that the Swarm bring down that Shvurei Leiv, that there's nothing more whole to Hashem than a broken heart, right? So how do we do that? I'm still working on it, but I think that what we need to understand is that our essence is what is the essence of any Jew? Like we say in Eshes Chayil, it says, "Vatischak al-yom acharei," right? That she left on the last day. How is it that it's referring to Sarah Imenu, right? So Sarah, with her whole life, there was so many challenges in her life, but she was always happy and always has a positive attitude, because always looking at the last day. So if we think about it, as humans, our default is always to look at the negative, always to look at what we don't have. And but if we focus on the positive, we realize that this moment, tomorrow I don't know what's going to be, but if we focus only in this moment, and we know that ultimately it's all for the good in Yom Acharon, then we can actually read the Simcha. We have that, and through that, it's like the story of the Achim HaKadoshim, Rabbi Melech and his brother Rav Zusha, that were taken into a prison cell for whatever they did wrong, maybe teaching or Torah. I don't know what it was that they did wrong in their eyes. but all of a sudden they wanted to magnify the pain by putting this bucket of excrement into it, into the cell. And one of them cried, and the other one said, "Why are you crying?" He says, "You're worried about it?" "No, I want to daven mincha." He says, "Even so, I can't daven mincha with this here, but even so, we should dance." And they started dancing around, and the warden or whoever the guard was saw them dancing around. This is maybe some ritual, so they took it out. So, the point is, I understand it as, and it helped me because right after I first heard this story, my wife and I visited Eretz Yisrael. We heard the story in Eretz Yisrael, and then we came back, and we were in New York. I don't know how we did that, but we were
arrested.
Yeah. So what happened was somebody gave me a ride, and we were starting to talk, and he gave me this sheet that had, and he was a Breslover. He gave me this sheet that had 100 different boxes, and he said, these, focus on things that you have to thank Hashem. 100 of these thank Hashem. And he said that Daphne should try to do it. Everything that is connected with your main problem that you have in life. And at that time, I was thinking about, a child who was sick or whatever, this and that. So, but there's so many things within that problem that I was thinking about, which was also good. And the things around it, and the things that, and it was just, it reminded me of like dancing around the problem, and then Hashem taking you away from us. So I think that's what Renachman means, to have that even with the problem, to say to focus on all the good that we have with the problem and be happy about it. And Hashem says, okay, you got the message, you're happy with it, you don't need it anymore, you don't need that test anymore. Hashem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. This has been such an enjoyable series of shiurim.
Thank you.
We'll get to learn together again.
It's a shame. Thank you.
Really appreciate it very much. If everybody has another few minutes to help clean off that chair and table, wash it off.